Trump is the closest thing to God.
Trump is the closest thing to God, really?
Absolutely, absolutely. He's what's gonna fix this nation. This nation's corrupt. We're all split. America used to be all together.
Yeah.
Now we're all split up. Why? We need to come back together. The only person who's gonna mold us is God first, and then Trump.
I know if Kamala gets in, we're gonna have World War III. So we definitely don't want her in.
And this is one of your top sellers here?
One of them, yes, sir.
And it says Trump that bitch?
Yes. Yep.
If Donald Trump wins the 2024 election, will you trust the results?
Yes, I will.
If Kamala Harris wins the 2024 election, will you trust the results?
No.
You would consider yourself pro-choice?
Yes, yes.
Does it bother you that Trump appointed the Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe v. Wade? Made that choice harder for a lot of women?
Well, it's been fought how many times? 37 times in court. Maybe we'll get it figured out right someday. That's the best you can say.
But you're pro-choice?
Yes.
But you support Donald Trump?
Yes. And he's made a lot of good moves, some bad moves, but yes, I do.
Hang all the traitors. And then you asked me about Congress, and I said, yeah, I think 3/4 of Congress are traitors.
So if you follow that logic, you're saying hang the traitors, 3/4 of them are traitors.
Stay in court, and let's see where it goes. I got plenty of rope.
Do you hate Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I do.
So, remember when we were all supposed to believe that tariffs were this brilliant masterstroke? That slapping 25% on Chinese goods would somehow make us rich, while magically not affecting anyone? Yeah, well, fast forward to today. And who's actually paying for those tariffs? Spoiler, it's not China, it's the guy in Arkansas trying to sell soybeans nobody wants. It's the beekeeper in North Carolina whose honey export just got nuked by retaliatory tariffs. It's the 6th-generation farmer standing in an empty barn, watching strangers haul away his family's tractors. And the kicker? These people voted for this, cheered for it, flew the flags, put the bumper stickers on the combine. Now, they're begging for a bailout from the same government they spent years calling socialist and wasteful. So welcome, friends, to the F Around and Find Out tour of 2025 with Mind Mirror. We're not here to cry. We're here to say what we've been saying since 2016. Let's go.
When did farmers become the villains? When did the disconnect happen is what I don't understand.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them.
Oh my God, can you guys just stop lying for 2 seconds? Please, just stop lying. Nobody's mad at you because you're a farmer. We all recognize how important farmers are. We all appreciate farmers. We're mad at you because you voted for this and you're playing victim as if you didn't vote for this. And I don't even mean this in a fuck around and find out type of way because you already found out in his first term. His horrible policies led to him having to bail you out. And you knew this. That's why I know you didn't vote for him because of the farm or because of the economy. You voted for him for different reasons. And let's start being honest. Your community is a huge reason why we have a sociopath in office, why we have an adjudicated rapist in office, why we have someone who tried to overthrow our government in office, why we have a 34-time felon in office, why we have a president who is actively ruining every part of our economy in office. You voted for that, knowing that he was going to do it because he did it to you in the first term, and y'all didn't care because trans people or something. Also, sidebar, I voted for you. For what it's worth, I voted for you, okay? Leftists voted for you. The left voted for you. We vote for a collective. We vote for other people. To sit here and act like, this is America, why are we not rooting for each other? That's what our vote does. That's how we look at elections. That's how we look at candidates. For you to come to us and say, how come the people who want everybody to have health care, who wants everybody to have public education, who wants everybody to have childcare, how come they don't want to be a part of this community that we have over here? How come they're mad at us? When we voted for you, and we voted for the exact solution that you are asking for right now, is absolutely insane.
To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. he laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
So the people who say no handouts just lined up for a handout. Now tell me why farmers in Arkansas are standing outside with their hands out again, begging Uncle Sam for money. See, when it's regular people struggling, rent too high, groceries too ridiculous, can't afford health care, the answer is always from these people: stop complaining, stop asking for handouts, and pull yourself up by your bootstrap.
Oh, we're starting with the hypocrisy. I love it. So these folks scream no handouts when a single mom needs food stamps. But the second their soybean prices crash, it's, Uncle Sam, where's my check? Bro, you can't be pro-market when it helps you and pro-welfare when it doesn't. And let's be real, farming is risky. Weather, pests, prices, all out of your control. But when you add policy risk, when you vote for a guy who starts a trade war with your biggest customer, that's not farming. That's gambling with taxpayer money. And now they're shocked they lost. It's like betting your house on a coin flip, then crying when you lose and demanding the casino reimburse you. Meanwhile, that $28 billion in bailouts during Trump's first term, that didn't come from magic. It came from us, from people who don't own a single acre of farmland. But sure, let's keep bailing out people who voted for the guy who caused the flood.
Farmers in Arkansas are crying out to the feds for stimulus money like it's open mic night. And look, I get it, because times are hard everywhere. But when you plant your crops, raise your cattle, take on the risks of farming, wasn't that a personal business decision? So why is it on me and you to make sure that that decision keeps paying out? Because see, when you and I make bad decisions, government doesn't cut us a check to make it right for us.
Yes, thank you. That's the line. When you mess up, tighten your belt. When they mess up, send the cavalry. It's two-tier capitalism. One rule for the base, another for everyone else. And look, I get it. These farmers thought Trump was their champion. He's a businessman. He'll protect us. He'll punish China. But here's the thing about tariffs. Consumers pay them, not the foreign country. You and farmers, they're consumers too. When they buy tractors, fertilizer, packaging, if it's made in China or uses Chinese parts, they're paying the tariff. So they get hit twice. Their exports get blocked. Their inputs get more expensive. That's not a trade war. That's economic self-own. And now they want more government help? From the same guy who said government is the problem? Nah, this isn't tragedy. This is consequence.
Now let's connect the dots here a little bit. These are the same people voting for the same politicians who say government is the problem. Yet as soon as the tractors stop running and their profits dry up, government magically turns into a solution for them. Ain't that funny and ironic? The question is, do we owe farmers any help? Or do they need to practice what they preach? Figure it out. Tighten that belt. Leave taxpayers out of it. Because last I checked, it's really not our problem to fix somebody else's gamble.
All right, let's talk about the real victims here. No, not the farmers, the taxpayers. Because here's what happened. Trump launched a trade war. China retaliated. U.S. farmers lost $10 billion in exports. So the government gave them $28 billion in bailouts. $28 billion? More than NASA. More than children's health insurance. And now they want another bailout? But when you can't afford insulin or rent, pull yourself up. This isn't just hypocrisy. It's weaponized hypocrisy. They built a whole ideology around personal responsibility until it applied to them. And don't even get me started on the irony of them blaming inflation while supporting a guy who caused inflation with tariffs, supply chain chaos, and massive deficit spending. But sure, blame Biden, blame immigrants, blame wokeness. Just don't blame the guy you voted for 3 times while losing tens of thousands of dollars.
Something, you point them out to me. People who already couldn't afford fresh vegetables, who couldn't already afford to put good food on their plate, are the ones that are really going to be hurt by this.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you're going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
Among other things, Jim imports packaging supplies for his honey, so he's paying real close attention to the tariffs Trump just put in place.
We just bought our year's supply of bottles from Taiwan and our year's supply of corks from Portugal about 3 weeks ago. So that would have been, another $5,000 or $6,000 out of my pocket.
Which is partly why he's repairing instead of replacing this 40-year-old forklift.
The cost of equipment has just gone through the roof to buy anything like that because it just would be cost prohibitive.
He's also holding off on improvements around the farm.
Well, we're not going to hire any more people, that's for sure.
It's more than just the tariffs. For the past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000?
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
Not
almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
We have to have ad hoc payments right now to make it through this year. If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Oh, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is big mad right now because her and the state of Arkansas are getting exactly what they voted for. Because you see, last month, 14 tornadoes touched down in the state of Arkansas, devastating multiple counties, destroying businesses, and sadly taking the lives of 3 people and injuring dozens of others.
Oh, this is chef's kiss. Arkansas voted to defund disaster relief, then got hit by 14 tornadoes, and now they're mad they didn't get federal help? That's not misfortune. That's poetic justice. You wanted small government? Cool. Then don't cry when there's no big government check after a natural disaster. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders? She spent years bashing federal aid, calling it wasteful spending. Now she's mad her state didn't get it? Nah. You don't get to hate the system and then demand it save you when it backfires. This is what happens when you politicize basic governance. You burn the safety net, then fall through it. And let's be honest, this isn't just about tornadoes. It's about a whole pattern. Vote to cut rural broadband. Can't access markets. Vote to cut mental health services. Suicide rates soar. Vote to deport farm workers. No one to harvest crops. Then act shocked when everything collapses. Yeah, we saw this coming.
But you see, the state of Arkansas also voted for an administration that wanted to leave disaster relief up to the states. So I'm not even sure why you guys applied for relief funds, but you did, and you were denied. All right, they said it was nothing outside the realm which your state and local agencies could handle. So I don't know what they're seeing that you're not, but it might be time for you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to work. Your state depends on you. You're the one who led the way, telling them that this administration was going to be great for your state and your country. I don't know. I voted for federal relief fund, okay, because I don't want your state to suffer. But hey, you voted for hate, and those 15 people can't play field hockey now, so I guess it was worth it in the long run. Good luck.
So it looks like Arkansas farmers are in the find out phase of the fuck around and find out part.
Going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Because farmers from all over the state of Arkansas came together to have a town hall meeting with some representatives from the government, explaining their struggles and what they might need to help them. And just as a friendly reminder, during the 2024 election, the state of Arkansas went 64.2% towards President Orange Man. But let's continue with the rest of this clip because it seems like one farmer might be having a realization as to what may be causing all of these issues.
For Brown, there is something that rounds out all the issues that they are facing: the tariffs.
I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. When you try to sell a product, okay, U.S. soybeans leaving New Orleans without the tariff to China are cheaper than Brazilian soybeans at the current market. But when you put the tariff on top of them,
oh, so now he's blaming the tariffs? Took him long enough. Look, I give him credit. He's finally connecting the dots. But notice how he still won't say the name of the guy who started the tariffs. He says, the tariffs are the icing on the cake of a perfect storm. As if they just fell from the sky. Bro, it was Trump, the guy you voted for, the guy you called a businessman. And here's the economic reality. Tariffs are taxes on trade. They don't make us rich. They make goods more expensive and destroy export markets. In China, they didn't just pause buying U.S. soybeans. They permanently switched to Brazil, built new supply chains, signed long-term contracts. You don't just come back to a market like that. And now this farmer's like, we need the government to send us checks? Yeah, that's the only solution left because the damage is already done.
Brazilian beans are cheaper.
Now, I'm actually glad he's making the correlation that it has something to do with the tariffs. But I've noticed a pattern when it comes to some of these people, when it comes to the tariffs, that they never make the connection or blame towards the person that actually caused these tariffs. And I'm going to give him a major hint that it has to do with the person that won 64.2% of the vote in that state during the 2024 election. And this Arkansas farmer seems like he has a solution for this problem.
So, how can this be fixed?
In the short term, they have no choice but to mail us a check. I don't know a farmer that likes the check program. Nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars, and nobody wants to go broke.
Yep, you heard that right. He's asking for a government handout, which is socialism, which he says he doesn't like them, but during these past years, there have been lots of subsidies and checks going out for farmers, including bailouts that happened during President Orange Man's first term.
Oh, this is gold. He says nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars. Then immediately says, we have no choice but to get the check. Bro, you just described socialism. And you're for it, as long as it's your check. And let's unpack this. He hates handouts, unless he's receiving one. He hates big government, unless it's writing him a $28 billion bailout. He blames welfare queens, while lining up for ad hoc payments. This isn't a policy shift. This is cognitive dissonance on full display. And notice how he still won't admit the tariffs were a bad idea? No, it's always external factors. Bad weather. The market. Never. Maybe we shouldn't have started a trade war with our biggest buyer. But sure, keep blaming everyone else. Just don't blame the guy you voted for 64.2% of the time in Arkansas.
Because during his first term, financial aid to farmers was about $28 billion, costing more than Navy shipbuilding, the nuclear forces, NASA, and even children's health insurance. So yeah, you guys do love to receive bailouts and handouts. All the while, you guys tell other people who need financial aid, such as single mothers with kids who need food stamps, that they should pull themselves up by the bootstraps, but for some reason you guys don't like doing it yourselves. And this is just another episode in the saga of Fuck Around and Find Out. I don't even know what episode number we're on, but yeah.
Farmers from across Arkansas are coming out and stating that they are not happy because they are getting ready to lose their farms. And now they're out there asking their Republican representatives for help. They said that they need something done because they can't even afford their farm equipment anymore. Many of the farmers spoke up at the meeting and said that they need help and they need it now. And if they don't get it now, they are about to lose their farm. And they're saying almost 30% of farmers are about to lose their farm. One of the farmers, who's in their 39th season, stated that they've never seen it so bad. And they are saying that they need their exports back. And that is why they are failing. Now, who decided to throw a bunch of tariffs onto their exports and get people to say they're not purchasing from the United States? Arkansas, you voted for this. You voted for this so greatly that it's incredible of where you were in 2000 in comparison to 2024.
Good morning. What do they say? Racism is expensive.
5 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
All right, so now it's a national crisis? Good, because maybe now people will believe what economists were saying in 2018. But here's the thing. This isn't just about tariffs. It's about a whole ecosystem of bad policy. Trade wars, lost markets, anti-immigrant rhetoric, labor shortages, cuts to USDA programs, no safety net, denial of climate change, no adaptation funding. And now they're surprised their farms are failing. It's like setting your house on fire to get rid of ants. Then calling 911 screaming, "Why isn't the fire department paying for a new roof?" And let's talk about the human cost. One farmer says 5 of his customers committed suicide. 5. Because the stress of losing everything is that real. And yet, they still won't admit the policies were wrong? This isn't just economics. It's a mental health crisis fueled by ideology.
Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late. Countless farmers gathered to speak to representatives of Arkansas leaders to share the urgency that something needs to be done about the current state of farming. Jake Tester was at the meeting and now joins us in the studio with more. Jake.
Many farmers spoke up at the meeting, and the message was straightforward. They need help, and they need it now.
Mr. Trump, you looked at me, sir, and you said, "I love you." Mr. Trump, I need to see the fruit of your love.
Farmers in crisis align way out the door of the Woods Chapel Baptist Church in Brooklyn as hundreds of farmers from not only Northeast Arkansas, but from across the state came to voice their concerns about the current state of farming. Representatives from U.S. Congressman Rick Crawford, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Senator John Bozeman's offices were in attendance to hear those concerns. Among those farmers in attendance was a farmer in Woodruff County, Chris King. He told me this was his 39th harvest, and he has never seen it as bad as this.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
For King, the main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do. And that's not happening. And we're in real trouble.
But that is not the only issue. King's wife, Melissa King, and farmer in Biggers, Arkansas, Scott Brown, said they are struggling to afford the cost that is needed just to take care of the farm.
The prices that we're getting now are prices like they were when we were children, and what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now. I mean, the price of a combine when we were kids was, in the 20,000s, and now it's 100,000.
I farm 800 acres by myself. I can't afford any help. I farm with paid for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. How's the guys farming 5 and 10,000 with 20 hands and $1 million combines and $1 million drills going to make it work?
But for Brown, there is something that rounds out all the issues that they are facing, the tariffs.
I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. When you try to sell a product, okay, U.S. soybeans leaving New Orleans without the tariff to China are cheaper than Brazilian soybeans at the current market. But when you put the tariff on top of them, Brazilian beans are cheaper.
So how can this be fixed?
In the short term, they have no choice but to mail us a check. I don't know a farmer that likes the check program. Nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars, but nobody wants to go broke. Nobody wants to lose everything. Long term, we have to have options, markets, and places to sell our product.
Guarantee you they not getting no bailout. They showed us, didn't it?
It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late. Countless farmers gathered to speak to representatives of Arkansas leaders to share the urgency that something needs to be done about the current state of farming. Jake Tester was at
You guys aren't going to believe this shit. I'll make it fast, but stay to the end for the kicker. You remember the last few years when you could not find a single family home, and if you could, you probably couldn't afford it because you had corporate interests like Zillow and BlackRock. They were coming in, heavily investing in the real estate market, wiping the single family homes off the market so the average person could not even buy one. Fast forward to this week, I'm sure you've seen the story of the Missouri farmer, the young guy who was at risk of losing his farm because the grant that he was going to receive to like reimburse him for all these expenses he had been cut. Well, look, they've also cut U.S. aid, which gave farmers millions and millions of dollars because they would buy their crops and then send them overseas or send them, places here in the United States to help people in need, but it also helped the farmers. Well, I found out today that there is a website called Acre Trader. Acre Trader is a company that heavily invests in agricultural land. So you can go invest in these farms that are failing, that somehow they're just starting to fail, and you can just buy them up. Well, guess who heavily funded Acre Trader? JD fucking Vance. Do you think they're out here just destroying these small farms so they can buy them up, all these tech bros? Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
So there are all these like right-wing pundits and politicians that are climate change deniers, and they'll say things like, environmental advocates, they really just are overstating that the climate science is a smoking gun on, the effect of greenhouse gases or whatever. It's really not as bad as the advocates are making it seem. And then when Trump issues an executive order trying to get rid of a 2009 executive order regulating greenhouse gases, the response was to put together a report that trumps up the science, that cherry picks science to make it look like global warming isn't real, and fucking radio silence from the people who are talking about how environmental advocates were overstating what the science says. But when we cherry pick the science, and the scientists, by the way, that were cherry picked have spoken out and been like, that's not what my research said. Like, no. So it's okay for the guys on your team to just make shit up and submit non-peer reviewed science in order to effectuate policy. But the peer-reviewed science that shows a consensus that there is human-caused global warming, that's the problem? I want an administration that uses policy, that creates policy based on science, not creates science to justify bad policy. Call me crazy.
Starting to say, I never thought that voting for Trump 3 times would result in me losing tens of thousands of dollars. A beekeeper out of North Carolina says, yeah, I proudly voted for Trump all 3 times. I flew flags for him and put signs for him in the yard. But now I'm out tens of thousands of dollars due to lost federal funding and tariffs, so I cannot export my products, my honey and my wax, to other countries like I could before, and nobody's buying it in the United States. Hay producers in Idaho and Utah that export alfalfa hay to China are now seeing 135% tariffs put on their product, and all of a sudden, they don't have anywhere to ship it. They held it all winter in hopes of sending it off to China in the spring, and now China's not willing to buy. Soybean producers are once again being hit harder than they were in the first Trump administration, and China, for its part, has diversified where it pulls these products from, with Brazil becoming the #1 soybean exporter and other countries picking up the slack for honey, for beeswax, and for hay around the world. Now, China's doing a great...
When I tell you guys that I can't even keep up with all the fuck around and find outs going on in this country, believe me, I cannot keep up. I had to learn about this from a commenter on one of my earlier videos because there's so much of this shit going on. Listen to this. 64% of Arkansas voters voted for Donald Trump in 2024. 77% of Arkansas farmers supported Donald Trump in 2024. And guess what's happening right now? Arkansas farmers are struggling because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And they don't want to raise themselves up by the bootstraps to take care of these issues. No. You know what they want? They want government handouts. They want welfare. The people who support the party who is against government handouts, who's against welfare, who wants you to raise yourselves up by the bootstraps when you have any type of problem, those people are saying, we want welfare. Where's our welfare? If we don't get welfare, many of us are going to have to apply for bankruptcy. All types of issues going on in Arkansas with their farmers because of the guy they supported. They're getting exactly what they voted for, and they want us to give a damn. I don't.
Evening to you. We begin tonight with hundreds of struggling Arkansas farmers pleading for emergency federal funding amid a farm economy crisis.
Oh, now it's emotional. A 6th-generation farmer says her son won't be the 7th. They're selling the equipment. Strangers are hauling away the tractors. And you know what makes it worse? She voted for this 3 times. She believed the promises, the golden age, the big, beautiful checks. And now she's standing in an empty field watching her legacy disappear. And the politicians? They're eating $7,000 steaks while promising relief is coming. But it's not coming fast enough. And here's the brutal truth. This was predictable. Economists warned about tariffs. Supply chain experts warned about decoupling. Farm economists warned about input costs. But they didn't listen. They mocked us, called us elites. Coastal? Out of touch. Now, they're begging for the help they once ridiculed. And I don't say this to gloat. I say it to remind everyone. Policy has consequences. And when you ignore reality long enough, reality fights back.
Channel 7's Andrew Mobley attended a meeting between farmers and federal officials earlier today in Brookland in northeast Arkansas and has more tonight. Andrew.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Not to mention bad weather earlier in the year.
What inflation? Donald Trump told me he solved inflation. He said inflation was bad under Joe Biden, but he solved inflation. So what are they talking about? And tariffs? What tariffs? Not the tariffs that brought in $8 trillion of revenue. Can't be talking about those tariffs. I know those tariffs aren't causing problems for farmers because Donald Trump told us tariffs were going to make us all rich. So what the fuck are they talking about?
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up. So after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big, beautiful bill provided a much-needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a 6th-generation farmer from Newport, and we made a decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the 7th generation on our farm.
So her family are 6 generations of farmers, and she's saying that her sons will not be a 7th generation of farmers, all because of Donald Trump's policies. And here's the thing. There are already subsidies in place that these people are supposed to get in December of 2026. But that's not soon enough for them. They need their welfare right now. And I'm wondering why they haven't gotten it, because Donald Trump told me that we have $8 trillion in new revenue from tariffs. It should be easy to give them subsidies, pay off everyone's student loans, give people free housing, free food, and still have like $7 trillion left over. I'm wondering how these people are struggling so much when Donald Trump keeps telling us we are in the golden age of America and the economy is booming. And if you think this lady's family not being 7th generation farmers is bad enough, wait until you hear what this...
I'm a 6th generation farmer from Newport, Arkansas. I grew up farming next to my parents, who are here today. I have, in their retirement for the past 10 years, been the primary operator of our farm, which is 2,000 acres of soybeans, corn, rice, and wheat. But what I should say today is that I used to be a 6th generation farmer. In February, we made the decision to close our farm. We joined many other farming families making this heartbreaking choice to avoid significant financial strain, financial hardship before it was too late. Many more families like mine will make similarly hard choices this month, in the next few weeks. The ag economy is the worst it has been since the farm crisis of 1980, when the U.S. lost 1 in every 4 farms. And that's because the price we're paying for the crop we produce is so low, and the cost to produce that crop is so high that not a single commodity crop in Arkansas is profitable for farmers. Because agriculture is such an important economic driver in the United States, and because food production is a national security issue, the government steps in tough times to help farmers. Yesterday, I watched strangers pull away my tillage equipment. They drove my tractors away, my combines, they loaded my power units and my fuel tanks onto trailers. Today, as I stand here, people are picking up the very last pieces of 6 generations of farming, and the people that we elected to protect us are eating in a ballroom with $7,000 a plate. I don't care whether you have an R or a D next to your name. I have no use for politicians that play dress up in cowboy boots and say they care about farmers and then do nothing in our hour of need. I don't necessarily have an ask for the people here, but I think y'all should know what's happening in farm country in Arkansas. Vote them out! And I think